Favorite boxer to watch? I like to watch Roy Jones, and I like to watch Roy Jones, Canelo, Lomachenko, and Roy Jones, Canelo, Lomachenko. Those are my favorite boxers I like to watch.
I think he's a rising star. I believe Kalombo has the goods to mix at the international fight level. Honestly, I think he reminds me of a Silence Mabuza, except with incredible punching power. I think if we all recall, Silence Mabuza won the world title, the IBO world title, in his 10th or his 11th professional fight. I believe Emmany can do the same. I think after 10 fights he's definitely ready for a world title. IBO level, I think after 15 fights he's ready to tackle the best in the world. He just goes from strength to strength to strength. One of the easiest fighters I've ever had to teach, ever. When you show him something, he does the job. There's no buts or ahs. If you show him once, twice, 3 times, he's got it waxed. And all of a sudden the next day he's doing it in sparring. There's no questions. He's a natural athlete. He's in phenomenal shape. He's not scared to train. He pushes extremely hard in training. I think he actually pushes too hard in training. He's a special athlete. I think junior middleweight is a great division for him. His first fights he fought at welterweight. I think he could go back to welterweight. He walks around at 72 kilos. To make 69 is easy. He could go to welterweight, but I think he's really strong at the junior middleweight. He's tall. Yeah, just phenomenally a great fighter to work with.
I don't know, but if I lose a fight, I don't know how I will be feeling, but it will be a bad feeling for me. I don't like to lose. That's why I like to push every minute, every second. When I'm training, I like to push higher. I want to be good for the fight. That's why I just like to win all the time.
You put in front of him, he seems to knock them out. I don't think there's any prospects in the junior middleweight division that could probably stop France or Mabolo in 5 rounds. I think if you think about Mshlongu, who's the SA champion, the first fight went to points, second fight was a stoppage in round 10 or other way around. Who does that? If he was South African, I think he'd be prospect of the year because he's just proved the goods. From time to time, you put them in front of him, he knocks them out. He's not wild, he's not sloppy, he's a very clever fighter, fights behind his jab, he sets up good punches, and he lets them go. I think what more could you ask out of a prospect?
For 2018, like from now, is a bit tough for me to find opponents. Guys are too scared of me. I think to start to fight outside or to fight a type of fight and then I can get bigger fights is my goal for me. Like to fight bigger name or big fights and I can have better and then I can fight more. I want a type of fights, that's why.
Okay, so let's say if you had to choose one belt, what would it be?
If I want to choose one belt, WBC.
WBC
is the biggest belt. Everyone, I don't know if everyone, but it's the most important belt in the world. WBC. I would like to fight Canelo. I would like to fight Canelo.
Okay. Why would you like to fight Canelo?
Canelo, the skills of Canelo, the way when he's fighting, everyone is standing. His skills and the way he's fighting, the way he's throwing his punch, his combination, his move, the way he's ducking the punch, he's giving a good fight. I think when I'll get that level, if I fight with him, I'll be the most LP boxer in the world.
Awesome. I think when that boy gets to 18, 19 fights, I think they're going to be scared of him. I think it's going to be a case where early in Maruti's career where you couldn't get unification fights because the top boys were scared to fight him. And I think it's got to a stage where now we struggle to find average fighters to fight him. They're all scared. We've had endless guys pull out of fights to fight him. To try and find him an opponent, yeah, it's difficult, to be honest. I think that it's going to get to a stage where we're going to really have to look at spending serious money to bring out opponents because guys look at the record and they're nervous. And even the boy who was supposed to fight in the UK, I watched him that same night. Emmany was supposed to fight him, And my honest opinion, Emmanuel would have had him out in 4 rounds. If that boy's fought the likes of Liam Smith, Jack Kalkalki. Yes, when he stepped it up, he's lost against those guys, but he's been in there with some of the best. And for me personally, I think my boy could mix it up with some of the best. And as I said, I think after 10 fights, he's ready for the IBO world title. After 15 fights, bring on the big boys. I'm not bothered by Mshlangu. I think he's a good fighter. I think he works hard. He's on the older side now. He's got experience, and I think that's what got him through the fight with Brandon Taser. It was just Brandon Taser wasn't ready for that level. He had the experience. He's been mixing it up. He was very active this year, fighting twice in Germany, then again in South Africa. He's fought good fighters, and that pays for on his record. But I think Emmanuel's past Mshlangu level, and I think we'll show it. It will be a tough fight, don't get me wrong. You don't hit Mshlangu, Mshlangu goes to bed, that's for sure. He's a tough man. I respect him as a fighter. Do I think my boy will beat him? Definitely, but it will be a fight. For all my boys, champions, I think I've got a good year coming. I'd like to make my junior bantamweight SA champion. I'd like to make Jackson Chauke SA flyweight champion. I'd like to make Marcus Leboko junior welterweight champion. I'd like to make Emmanuel some sort of organizational champion. Augustine Matata, another one of my middleweights that's very strong. I'd like to make him an international champion. Ricky, I think by the beginning of 2019 he'll be ready for the SA title. So whoever's going to have the SA title, step aside because my boy's coming strong. Ilunga Makabu, don't be surprised if you scratch your head in December and he's the gold WBC world champion.
The message from my opponent, I think he might just keep his hands up because I'll punch very hard. He might just keep his hands up, I'll punch very hard. But he don't have a chance. Even if he keep his hands up, I'll punch in the body, put down, and then I'll punch again in the chin. He'll just go down. He's have nothing to do. I'll stop him.
Okay, cool, that's it.